And I think about the struggles of my mother in Lennon Street housing projects. I think about the struggle of my sisters and my brothers at Brownlee Heath, my sisters at Columbia Point, and the blessing that we all have, and we're in such a great place in life. So thank you for all you do. I am very fortunate to have a lot of great mentors. And some close, some that I talk to on a regular basis, and some that I just watch and I follow. And they may not even know that they're my mentor. One of those is the founder of MAC and the founder, rebuilder of about 30 plus organizations in this city. And when I joined the NAACP, someone said to me, it's easy to start an organization, but can you build something that lasts? Mm-hmm. And when I think of that, I don't think there's a better person in this city than UB Jones. Some other people that I spent a lot of time talking to, getting advice from. Many years ago, people may not know, but I was one of the organizers when we came back from the Million Man March. And sat in that room as a younger kid around the table with Mel King, the late Nat Skia, Diane Wilkerson, Gloria Fox, Bob Marshall, and many others, and I was the biggest, what I said, the biggest nobody in the room. And at some point, they elected me to be the chair of the Million Man March Mobilization Committee. And as that work sort of fizzled, because it was a lot to do, it was a new organization, I had a gentleman walk up to me and say, I need you to lead in my organization. And that was Liddy.
All right.
The reason as a church we have to think about that now
Take your time.
You can do it, Michael.
is that Lenny believed in me. And Lenny allowed me to lead that organization. So last week, when I spent the weekend at the National Board meeting, and they talked about elevating me to be the national chair of the Legislative Political Action Committee, taking Reverend William Barber, taking his place.
Wow.
All I could think about was him. So I am extremely blessed. Robert Lewis Jr., people that check in on me, call me, look out for me, and I know he's not here, but this work is not easy. Jim Hunt from the Mass State Community Health Centers, who allows me the flexibility to also lead a nonprofit. I have a lot of mentors like Joe Feaster, who will call me every other day and give me some advice to tell me whether the quote I had in the paper was the right quote. And he just says, Mike, what do you need? John Jenkins, not John Jenkins, Beth Williams, and Darryl Settles, and Mrs. Gittens. And the list is long of people who literally check in on me every day and say, what do you need me to do? And I'm very fortunate to have that. I will tell you that when I was in college, someone asked me, because I was an African American Studies minor, I had to write a piece about where I would want to travel to. I forget what the class was. And I made this piece about I would want to travel back in time to some of the critical moments in our history. That I would want to sit at the table in 1905 when the NAACP, which was then the National League of, the NAGRA movement, when folks got together to talk about how to deal with racial injustice in this country, and W.E. Du Bois and William Monroe Trotter and others were at the table trying to figure out how to build a movement. I would want to be at the table in 1908 after the race riots in Springfield as the NAACP was formed, with Mary White Ovington, William English Walling, and those other people of all races who decided that they had enough and that they wanted to make a change. I would be there in 1915 in a movie that I just got casted in, or film, a documentary, to play William Monroe Trotter in 1915 when 10,000 plus black people marched on, and others marched on downtown Boston to protest the birth of a nation. That racist propaganda film. I would want to sit in a room in 1963 as they talked about the Children's Crusade. and what the importance of putting children on the front line to deal with the injustices, or the March in Selma, or the Montgomery bus boycott. I want to be there when, in Boston, when Melnia Cass and Ruth Batson and many others and some in this room fought the fight here in Boston to change our condition in this city. And that was the piece I wrote in college, was I want to go back in time and be there. So it's interesting now that I'm president of the NAACP, I'm on the national board, I'm one of the younger members on the board, and I get to now understand their struggle. I get to now put that in perspective many years later. And I don't take it for granted when I'm sitting around that table and we're talking about body cameras, or the education system, or quality, and I look around that room of our partners and I see Rasan Hall from ACLU.
That's right.
And I see Matt Krieger and Yvonne from Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. And I look around that table and I see attorney Tanisha Sullivan.
That's right.
And I see Kim Jane from Mass Advocates. And I see all of these amazing people that I now know how they felt when they were fighting for Brown v. Board. I now have a perspective on how it felt to sit in a room and come up with legal strategy and a mobilization effort. And now it's not just words in a book, now it's actually in my life. And I'm surrounded, as Chairman Brock says, that courage will not skip this generation. I'm surrounded by some dynamic
That's
people.
right.
So I bring that full circle to say, what often I think about in this work, and I think about Matt's work, I think as my young people, because we have young people here, we hire 30 young people to work for us every summer, and they do social justice and civil rights, is a phrase we talked about is closed mouths don't get changed. Right? Closed mouths don't get changed. And a lot of us got closed mouths. And we rely on organizations like MAC, like the NAACP, on people like him, and Attorney Hall, and Matt Krieger, and so many others in this room, to work for us even when we're not paying attention. Even when we don't think there's a problem, they get it, and they work on our behalf. So I'm very honored to be in this room tonight and be honored by this organization. I'm a fan of all the work that you do, and I understand that what you're doing is transformational for our children, for our kids, for our families, for our neighborhoods, and ultimately for our country.
Yes.
I often say when I get a chance to speak, and the interesting thing is I'll be a speaker at Boston Latin School on Friday. And I often say, which is not an exaggeration, that there's a girl sitting in Roxbury right now at a school that is a level 4, level 3 school, that doesn't have what she needs to be successful. That maybe she was meant to find a cure for cancer.
That's right.
But we'll never know it.
Right.
Because her school doesn't provide her that opportunity. That she didn't get the opportunity she needed to take the courses she needed to go to the graduate school she needed to go to get the career she needed to be that young person to find a cure for cancer. I can't exaggerate as a child of Roxbury.
That's right.
The number of people I can tell you that have super talent.
That's right.
That you don't know them because they're in jail.
Right.
Because they may be an addict. Because they may have dropped out of school. Because they may have a special need. Because they have faced challenges and only have one parent who's born addicted to drugs. That's the neighborhood I come from. Those are the people I know. But I can tell you, if you knew them like I know them, they were meant to be so much more than that.
That's right. That's right.
It is a result of this organization. And we don't have enough Matts. We don't have enough Kims. We don't have enough people out there on the front lines who can just get outside of their own lives and raising their own kids, and they're making a difference. So if you leave this room tonight, I always say this African proverb, and my team is sick of me saying it, but I know that it means a lot, which is rivers are filled one drop at a time.
Yes.
Put your dollars in this. Put your time in this. Pay attention when they call you. Show up when they ask you to be involved. Because if you don't, your grandchildren will be revisiting these same conversations we're having today. They'll still be dealing with criminal injustice. Their kids will still be, your grandkids will have kids going to failing schools. It is time for us to finally deal with this stuff in this country, and racism is behind a lot of it.
That's right.
I ask you on behalf of Mac, as an honoree tonight, it's not about me. I've been very blessed. As a young person, I feel like I got so much more to do. I wake up overwhelmed, thinking about how much more we have to do. So I ask you, support Mac. Make this a commitment of yours. Make this an organization that you put your time and resources into, and I know we can make a difference. Thank you.